There's a saying that people fear what they don't understand. What did you fear before you understood it? Thunderstorms. I was terrified of thunderstorms and tornadoes when I was a kid. It was so bad that I would fear puke if I saw dark clouds. One day in 2nd grade, it stormed during CL but and I ran to the front of the room to throw up in the trash can. My teacher sent a couple of books home with me about how thunderstorms and tornadoes work. After reading the books, I became fascinated and excited by storms instead of helplessly terrified. Your teacher sounds very sweet. She was the best. Iron lungs. I had no idea what they were as a child. All I knew is people went inside of them. Turns out they are a pretty ducking neat solution to a serious problem. I think the SpongeBob episode with the iron lungs is what scared me as a kid. It was an iron, but not iron lungs. Voicemails. I always dread listening to them and then inevitably answering them, but it's never as bad as I imagine. That's so weird. I do the exact same thing, and they're never as bad as I imagine either. I wonder why, now that I really think about it. Haha, I definitely get the same feeling. I think it's a fear of the unknown kinda deal. Yeah, I never know what the other end is gonna say till you pick up. Sometimes I think I should swing the pendulum the other way and assume each message might net me a prize of $1 million or something law-y. Being the new guy in any situation such as a job, club, friends of a friend, etc. can be nerve-wracking trying to get to know people and figure out the mood, so you know what to avoid to piss people off until you get more comfortable within the situation. Meanwhile, me at my first job, not having a choice because all the guys working there couldn't stay quiet for more than a few minutes, while my friend and I were quieter but immediately loved, got nicknames, got J to insult wars, learned many things, all with the jolly old guys we worked with. After having worked a few different jobs being the new guy, most of the older men are very accepting and like new people and will talk/mess with you right off the bat. It's the ducking clique of 20 to 30-year-olds that won't say a word to you because they just want to chat with their friends and don't want to bother with the person they don't know. Weirdly enough, meditation. When I first heard about it a few years ago, I thought it was a cult-like activity. I felt very uncomfortable when people would suggest it as something I should try, when of course it is not only completely harmless and practiced daily by all sorts of people, but also really helpful. Were you brought up in a Christian setting? I remember reading some book that made meditation seem like it was an invitation to let demons inside you. Edit. It's probably too late to contribute to the conversation, but after getting more comments and remembering further, I think the book mentioned was called This Present Darkness. It was a novel about angels and demons and how they affected people and vice versa. When the people prayed, the angels got stronger, and whenever people engaged in anything remotely new age, the demons became more powerful and could act more directly. As a former Catholic, we were taught this. Not sure about other Catholic/Christians though. Math. I'm still terrified of this one. Try a different approach. People usually hate math because they have a bad teacher. So try putting an individual effort into it. It becomes real fun. Except calculus though. That shit is fucked up. Microwaves. Growing up, there was about 7 years where we didn't have a microwave. Since I didn't use them, I started to really think that something that could heat up food so damn fast had to use some unhealthy means to do so. Now, after 10 years in the STEM field, I can confidently say that I don't fear microwaves anymore. My BF is still nervous around microwaves because his grandparents had a really old one before proper shielding on microwaves became standard. That was a legit hazard. So whenever they used it, they would all go to another room. He still tries to discreetly pull me to the other side of the kitchen whenever I turn the microwave on. He's smart too. Definitely knows it's safe, but old habits die hard. I understand the dark, but I still fear that shit. It's not the dark you fear. It's not being alone in the dark that is terrifying. I think it's the fear of not being alone when it's dark. If I knew that I were completely alone in a dark room, I'd be relaxed. Finally some time alone. If I knew that I were not alone in a dark room, but I don't know what else is in the room, I'd be shitting my pants. Does my mom count? I think so lol, I know that feel bro. Depression. Used to think people who struggle with it were weak. Over time I realized it was me that was weak. And didn't know what the duck I was talking about. I've had severe depression from age 10, suicidal, self-harming, and only recently have recovered, at age 23, almost 24, enough to have it considered in remission. Also on meds. But yeah, mental illnesses are definitely illnesses like any other haha. Brain is an organ after all. Stay vigilant friend. Outer space. Boyfriend and I are watching too many movies because we're inside. I love horror and he doesn't. And I spent a few weeks trying to convince him that movies like Contact and Apollo 13 are absolutely terrifying. They're not. I was too young to follow them once. And could only pick up on the tension in each scene. Of course. I'm nowhere near understanding space. I work in marketing, but my awareness of the genius of most people who work in space discovery has only increased with time. We are in much better hands than I once suspected us to be. Contact was a fascinating movie, in that a priest became an ally of the scientist protagonist who was placed in the position of being a prophet, tasked with convincing all of skeptical humanity of the existence of superior beings mostly on faith, because tangible evidence was so scarce. The movie and book were instrumental in maturing my edgy young atheist attitude. Blindness. I was prepared for it in a sense, since I can remember. I knew I'd go blind. But nothing really prepared me for the moment I fully lost my sight. It was horrible. But after I came to terms with it, I have come to understand that it is a unique and beautiful part of myself that I would never change or trade away. For anyone wondering, there's tools for the blind to use social media and digital stuff. Also, sometimes people get someone else to browse the internet with them, since they can't see. Also, a lot of websites slack on the standards that blind people require to browse the internet. As someone in the mental health field, suicide, can't say I fully understand it, but I'm vastly more capable than I used to be of coming alongside someone who is hurting so bad that they want to take their life. It still scares me, but it's also an honor when clients are willing to let me journey through the dark with them. This guy's walking down a street when he falls in a hole. The walls are so steep, he can't get out. A doctor passes by, and the guy shouts up, "Hey you, can you help me out?" The doctor writes a prescription, throws it down in the hole and moves on. Then a priest comes along, and the guy shouts up, "Father, I'm down in this hole. Can you help me out?" The priest writes out a prayer, throws it down in the hole and moves on. Then a friend walks by. "Hey Joe, it's me. Can you help me out?" And the friend jumps in the hole. Our guy says, "Are you stupid? Now we are both down here." The friend says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before, and I know the way out." Damn, allergies made my eyes water after reading that. Rejection. I think people are so terrified of it because they view as there must be something wrong with them, or project their own insecurities about themselves in order to validate the rejection. Truth is, there probably isn't an important reason they said no, and it most likely isn't because of any issue with you. They didn't hire you because someone else left a better impression. They didn't go on a date with you because they didn't see you as compatible. None of it matters. What's more important is shooting your shot. You'll go on to regret everything you didn't do, but not everything you did do. Someone saying no to you is not a reflection of yourself, but saying no to yourself most certainly is. My own potential. Nothing holds you back more in life than being afraid to try. It's not the fear of trying, but the fear of failing. Sometimes the fear of succeeding is even more terrifying. How hot dogs were made. People told me to never find out how hot dogs were made, as if it was some satanic ritual where they spill the blood of a dog onto a normal wiener, or that they were made out of ground up hoofs and eyes left over from animals. I soon found out they were made out of just normal old meat. I worked in a meat packing plant and saw it every day. Then we had to have a meeting and go over safety procedures because a guy got degloved by the machinery. Now I both fear and understand how hot dogs are made. Damn. I hate the word degloved so much. Quicksand. I thought that it was a huge problem back when I was youngling. Illustrated animations portrays it as a very dangerous thing, but it really isn't. Other than that, I think depression. I've observed humans that was afraid of depression. They were afraid to appear weak in front of the fellow kind. But there is nothing to be afraid when asking for help. Driving. I was horrified to drive for a long time. Finally got my license at 25. Fucking game changer to finally drive. Me too. I got so tense and stressed in lessons that I couldn't drive for more than 30 minutes without needing to sleep. Experience and some self-confidence has helped a lot. Drains in the bottom of pools. Still afraid of them though. That's probably a good thing. They can be super dangerous. I remember a girl being killed by one in the news. Pretty sure she was disemboweled. She was. Ike. She sat directly on an uncovered drain and got stuck. You can imagine what happened. That was one of the incidents that drove the US to change requirements for drain designs. It happened not long before I started working in the pool business, and we got a lot of calls inquiring about retrofits for bottom drains. Black people. Growing up in a white suburb in the 70s and 80s. Being told to lock the doors when passing through a black area. The news mainly showing violent black people and reporting on the murders in the city. All of that has an effect on me. Film clips of riots of the late 60s and early 70s and seeing these rundown neighborhoods a decade or two later. Only had a few black kids in HS in my town. But I grew up with some Hispanic friends, so knew not everyone was bad. Let's say I was taught to be cautious more than hatred. Anyway, went to college in a city that had been decimated by riots in the 60s. Worked on campus with guys that grew up in the projects. One guy hated me just because I was white. The others were fun guys. One eye-opening time was walking downtown. I realized I was the only white person on my side of the street, and the sidewalk was packed. I almost waved at the lone white guy on the other side of the street. It was weird to be a minority, but nobody bothered me or even said boo to me. Worked with a few different black guys and gals over the years and never had issues with most of them. We all worked hard, and one dude gave me the key quote. We all want the same thing, no matter our background. Everyone wants their kids to live a better life than they did. There is nothing to fear as the average person just wants a better life. No matter where they are from, we can all live better lives. I really blame the media for blowing up our differences. We all just want to live our lives and the majority of people are friendly and kind. But you'd never know it from the nightly news. Sociopathy, including antisocial personality disorder and its precedent, juvenile conduct disorder. This is a learned pattern of behavior that makes a lot of sense for many of the people who learn it. Sociopaths are created by harsh circumstances that harden them consistently and early on. Circumstances where being kind or giving only gets one taken advantage of. Seeing everyone beyond a select few people as fair game for use or exploitation is an understandable conditioned behavior for survival in gritty environments. Sadism. 2. Sadism is conditioned by forcing a child to bear what feels like far more than their fair share of suffering and pain, for no understandable reason, and with no way of reliably stopping it. This creates a deep well of resentment and a life experience that very few people can relate to. Sadists harm others out of a deep and unmet longing to have others relate to them and their experience of the world. It also makes the grossly unfair suffering they've endured feel a little more normalized and easier to accept if they can see others suffering as they did, even if that means they have to create this. This is why a lot of sadists target victims that appear to them as innocent, beautiful, unblemished, and picture perfect. Such targets trigger their anger at the unfairness of their painful experience of life, and from their warped perspective, need to be given something to cry about in order to balance the cosmic scales of justice. Most sociopaths are not sadists, and most sadists are not sociopaths. Although it's not uncommon for one to also be the other, they are two different maladaptive coping mechanisms, conditioned by two different kinds of life stresses. In the environments that condition sociopathy, a lot of the danger and suffering in their world is experienced by other people around them, and is only potential for them. In the environments that condition sadism, by contrast, the suffering feels much thiz and thiz alone, and very much actualized. I stopped being disturbed or scared by sociopathy and sadism when I realized that these people are not monsters. Almost any person exposed to the right environmental influences at the right junctures, could become either one. This gives me a grudging compassion for them, and more sadness toward them and their victims, than fear. Perhaps paradoxically, this change in my understanding and my attitude has made it easier for me to identify warning signs of a person with either type of darkness, and keep a safe distance from them. Thank you for posting this. I was actually trying to do research about sadism this morning, but I couldn't find anything substantial. Do you have any good book or article recommendations? Sorta related, but there is a book called The Psychopath Test by John Ronson. The book is a mix of humor and actual investigation. The book is about psychopaths, and he interviews a number of psychopaths. I think he also interviews Robert Hare, who created the psychopathy checklist, which is a diagnostic tool to detect psychopaths. Anyway, it's a great book. The Bermuda Triangle. I still don't understand it, to be honest, but as a kid I thought it was the most creepy thing in the world and was confused why no did something or closed off the area for good. Nothing to understand really. It's a highly trafficked part of the ocean and an area prone to weather events. Like any area with lots of traffic, it also gets more than its share of accidents compared to less busy areas. The responsibilities that come with being an adult. The more I understand my responsibilities, the more I'm stressed out. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.